Dr. Sreedhar Potarazu, CEO of Vital Spring Technologies, here with us. Doc, I'm glad you're here because I don't think anybody really truly understands how much this is going to cost.
You are so right. This is out of control. The costs of Obamacare every week are continuing to soar. And today's announcement by Blue Cross Blue Shield of California and Aetna are a great example of how consumers, employers, and everybody in the market are going to pay more. The premiums have gone up already for individuals by about 3%. Blue Cross and others have no means of actually staying profitable. They have no option but to increase premiums because Obamacare has basically changed the entire way that insurance works. They can no longer factor in how sick an individual is. They have to accept anybody with pre-existing conditions. So what are they going to do? Of course they're going to raise premiums because they have to stay in business.
Right. And I know there are a lot of consumer advocates out there saying, well, hey, you guys have a big chunk of change in your cash reserves. Why don't you use that, milk that, as opposed to raising premiums? But to your point, there are so many unknowns. I would never do that. If I was running a business, I would hold on to those reserves as much as I could because I don't know what's coming down the pike.
There's no question. If we're expected to take on, if I'm an insurance company executive today and I'm supposed to be taking on a whole slew of individuals and not be able to price based on the underlying conditions, I have no idea what I'm getting into. The second thing is that there's a number of factors that are really concerning not only insurance companies, but employers as well as the states in terms of what this is really going to cost.
Right.
Since the law was enacted, the cost of Obamacare has gone up from about $464 billion to now over $572 billion, almost 25%. And that number is only on the way up. It's not coming down.
And that's why it's so strange to me that the Congressional Budget Office estimates that Obamacare is going to have little effect on small and large employer plans. How could that possibly be?
It's not. We've already seen companies like Darden. We've seen companies like Sears make some drastic changes. We've heard about companies in the food services and retail industry that have talked about switching some of their workers to part-time. We've seen an increase in the number of employers who may just pay the penalty and ask their employees to actually participate in the exchanges. So the number of people that actually have to get the federal subsidies is going up, which is why there is this concern of how much the government is going to have to shell out based on those estimates. So the CBO, for where things are right now, is really off. And that has big implications for what John Boehner is talking about with the president right now as we speak, a few blocks away, because if Obamacare is not on the table, then there should be some serious concerns because in the last 2 years, those numbers have gone up significantly, and that needs to be on the table in terms of preventing us from going over the fiscal cliff.
And you make a great point. But even the Democrats, I think, are coming to terms with this because there's a $63 per head fee to cushion the cost of covering these pre-existing claims that the Dems are saying maybe we should push that off for a little bit because, well, we're not really sure, people could afford that yet. So I think even they're realizing that the medical equipment tax, all this is so onerous.
Yeah, it's extremely onerous. And I think there's a lot of concern amongst medical device manufacturers. There's concern amongst hospitals who have to take the Medicare cuts in terms of what's been proposed. They're not going to get the new consumers patients that they're expecting by some states not expanding Medicaid. And so there's going to be a huge cut to their profitability. So a lot of stakeholders in the industry have some serious concerns if this train continues down the same path.
Dr. Potarazu, we need you to walk a couple blocks over and tell them all this because nobody's listening right now. Dr. P, thanks for being with us.
I wish you could.
I wish you could. Thank you, sir.